Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the SempreMilan podcast. I'm your host, Ollie Fisher, joined once again by Anthony Torgrud.
Good morning, team. I'm here. I'm ready.
Are you ready? Are you ready
No.
for a good time?
I'm not.
Yeah. Well, we're here. It's a Tuesday morning for both of us.
Tuesday, isn't it?
Tuesday, or the Tube, as it would be called, the London Underground system. And we got some stuff to talk about, some interesting things to talk about. It's been a bit of a slow burner this summer, it would be fair to say. We didn't get lots of signings through the door early that we could kind of dine out off. Normally, when we play early preseason friendlies, they've been against teams like Novara and stuff, and we've played them at Milanello, and it's been like 3 times 20-minute periods instead of a proper game, and there's been intra-squad friendlies and things like that, so it takes a while to dial up. But finally, we've got a game to talk about. I was going to call it a proper game. It wasn't really a proper game. We'll dive into it. But the Mercato is starting to heat up a little bit too, and we're leaving for the USA in a few days, so plenty to touch upon. Before I dive into the Rapid Wien preview, thank you as always to our Substack founding members: Tarek, JT Physio, Mike Schulz, Heavenly 13, Derek Favretto, Merlin Flinker, Nasser, Carlo Fassi, Rajat, Raul Escobar, Luke Villano, Mats, MJ Kemming, Joey Gawler, Moritz Pullman, Tito Mack, Ali Tareen, and Des Windsor McGlynn. Ran up it in reverse order this time just to test myself. Thank you for all of the support you're showing us over on the Substack. We really appreciate it. We're heading into what will hopefully be a very busy period of the summer. This sort of end of July into August is by far my busiest time covering the site, and same for Isaac, of course, because the games start and the transfer window overlaps. So there will be a lot going out on the Substack. Most recent thing we had out on there was an exclusive about a request that Paulo Fonseca has made regarding Lorenzo Colombo. So go check that out if you're not aware of the news already. The bonus pod that me and you did on Friday was a deep dive into Alvaro Morata and what he can bring to the team. There was a bonus article on the CDK deal, which is actually not a permanent deal and is a loan with obligation to buy. So again, if you're wanting to understand how that works and how it actually benefits both teams, then go and check that out. But basically, his permanent move will only come next summer, not this summer. And we had an interview with Alessandro Giacobone as part of our Meeting the Milan Media series. He gives us a bit of insight on what it's like to cover the club, how long he's been doing it, his best moments, and yeah, go have a look. Substack, you can try a week for free. Without further ado, we have some friendly action to talk about. It says Rapid Wien, like Rapid Wiener. We just need to flip the I and the E over there.
Look,
it's early for you. It's early for you. I understand, brother. Don't you worry about that. But yeah, first friendly of the summer came on Saturday evening at the Allianz Stadion. Well, I told you in the episode last week that it's a nice stadium. It really is a lovely little ground, that. Against Rapid Wien, who finished, I believe, 4th in the Austrian Bundesliga last season, but they are still like the biggest club in Austria. They've won the most titles and things like that. And yeah, I guess a bit of perspective on this before we talk about how it wasn't a great spectacle is that was Rapid Wien's last friendly of the summer. They played a few before that to warm up to that. And on Thursday, so in 2 days' time from when we're recording, they actually play Wisla Krakow in a Europa League qualifier. So essentially, their pre-season started and peaked long before ours, and thus they were playing us kind of in what should be near enough full fitness. Imagine the Trofeo Berlusconi game for us. That was like that game was for them, and yeah, you could tell. They kind of ran us about a little bit in the first half, to be honest. And look, we put together kind of a shall we say, a youthful attack. Colombo led the line. Liberali played in behind. Shakachayori got the nod. The midfield was Adli and Pobega. It was two sort of mixed lineups, shall we say, because we entirely changed the team at halftime. And so you can't expect to necessarily see us in full flow either. But yeah, they peppered us in that first half. I think it was 8-1 in shots. We were a bit slow out the gates.
Yeah. I mean, that really sums it up. There wasn't a whole lot that happened in the first half. You could just tell it was the first game under a new manager. and also, you could tell it was preseason still. Nobody looked like they were really off to the races. Nobody was actually given a whole lot. The only moment that I really remember that sticks out to me was Calabria going down to slide and not really slide tackle a player, but like just kind of block the ball, and he missed. And he, yeah. So I mean that summed it up for us, and then I didn't get to see the second half, and I'm not too bummed out by that, but yeah. So that's all I got.
Look, I'll be honest, right? First half, they came close a couple of times. In the 7th minute, they hit the post with Seedle. And then, like, a minute later, he dragged a shot just wide. Like, they were well on top in the first half. So
I think they hit the post twice, like back to back, didn't they?
Maybe. I only remember the once. But the thing to remember, I suppose, while you caveat it by saying we're so early in our preseason, it's only been 2 weeks of work, we're missing all of our internationals and things like that, you would still like the levels of defensive attention to be a bit higher than what they were. We did kind of just let them into the box whenever they wanted, and that wasn't particularly good. I get it. The back four was also a bit of a mix, and Adley Pobega are not going to provide you an awful lot of coverage in front of that. But yeah, they did find it a little bit too easy in the first half to get on top, and we struggled to sustain any real period of pressure. In fact, the only time that we had possession was when we were passing it around the back, and that's when we got to see a little bit of the new build-up structure, I guess. So that's all you could take from the first half. Pobega had a shot that went massively wide and over. The second half was much better, and I know you say you're not bummed out that you missed it, and I still think that should be the case. But we did take the lead, and Florenzi got the first goal of pre-season, and Daniel Maldini got the assist for it. So there's a certain level of irony there, because those are two players that have apparently been told that they can leave. Florenzi because he's got a year left on his deal and he hasn't historically got along with Fonseca. Maldini because obviously we're stacked in the attacking department and there's not much room for him, shall we say. But yeah, he drifted out to the left, clipped in a first-time cross, which was nice, and Florenzi volley at the near post into the roof of the net. It wasn't a deserved lead, but we had been threatening a little bit. Another thing that was good in the second half, I appreciate this is me just riffing because you didn't see it, but I'm just jogging my memory a little bit.
Both of us.
You can just have a little nap for 5 more minutes if you want. Another thing that was good in the second half was that we played out of the press pretty well. So obviously, Rapid Wien also brought on substitutions to freshen things up. They kept pressing intensely and trying to pass us in. We had a couple of moves where we went back to front. You remember like prime Pioli ball post-lockdown when we were passing it from our right back to our left winger in 5 passes, 10 seconds, whatever it might be. We did that a couple of times and it looked good. There was one time when Salamanca's almost bundled through on goal and he was just tackled at the decisive moment, and then another one where we worked it to the right and Salamanca should have been a penalty for us basically. There was a cutback that Salamanca was looking to get on the end of and he was chopped down from behind and he didn't get the ball. Referee missed it. Should have been a pen. Who cares?
I feel like there was also a penalty shout like in the first minute.
This was when I struggled to get a stream up, so you can claim that, and I have no way to back it up.
Yeah, well, we were robbed. It was ref's fault. Yeah, that's all I got.
Yeah. So poor officiating in the game. Maybe who knows who the ref was? By the way, it could have just been some random young Austrian lad that they called in. I don't actually know. Yeah, playing out of the press was good. Salamanca's was good. He looked pretty dynamic. I saw some calls on Twitter afterwards like, let's give him another couple of games before we try and offload him for 15 mil or whatever it's going to be. But I think the most important thing that we should take from it is that patience is needed. And I sort of I worked myself into a little bit of a panic thinking about stuff after the game because yeah, that was first game. Didn't have a lot of key players available. I looked at the schedule of when these players are coming back, and I looked at the games that we've got to play, and the moment that we will have the full squad available, and the moment that the new signings that we're being linked with might arrive. And actually, we have a risk of arriving at that Torino game pretty undercooked, in my opinion. only Jovic is going to be back for that first friendly in the United States, which we'll come on to. Then obviously we've got players that went deep in the competition in the Euros, and they're not going to get back until some of them not even going to join the team in the USA. They're just going to be waiting when they get back. Morata's not going to be at Milanello until August 5th. We've got that Berlusconi Trophy game on August 13th, I want to say. I think that's when it is. And that is going to be, all of a sudden, is going to be quite a bit of impetus on that to show something, to show that what we've been working on in the training ground, even if it's a limited time for some of the players, is coming together. Because, yeah, this USA tour, and we found it last season a little bit too, when we were playing, obviously, Real Madrid. And so it can be a bit of a write-off for us. Like,
yeah, well, should I switch it to the Man City?
Yeah, we'll switch it now, yeah.
This one in particular is going to be pretty rough, right? Man City, even when it's just their subs, have a lot more depth than us. And like you said, Jovic is going to be our only striker. So we're going to have Jovic, potentially Colombo. He might get sold prior. He might stay. We don't know yet. So that's not the greatest strike force to go up against the team that won the treble just 2 seasons ago. So like that obviously doesn't play well for us. And then you look at like Magnan's not going to be on the USA tour. Theo Hernandez won't be on the USA tour. Reinders won't be on the USA tour. There's one other person.
In fact, I know I mentioned this a couple of weeks ago, but we've actually now got precise dates for when these players will rejoin. So we've got Jovic. He's back in training today, so he will leave with the team. Musa and Pulisic, who you can only presume stayed in America.
They're here.
Yeah, great. They're joining the team on July the 26th. So I guess there'll be a bit of doubt about whether they take part in that game on Saturday. Leao is back on July 28th. Okafor on July 30th. Then we've got Mike Maignan and Teo, who are back in training at Milanello on August the 2nd. Reinders on August the 3rd. Morata on August the 5th. So, yeah, let's face it, we're missing our best players for at least the first 2 friendlies, it looks like. And those are pretty tough friendlies. Man City and Real Madrid, they're literally the 2 best teams in Europe. I also want to because Man City have not played a friendly yet. Their first one is against Celtic. So they play Celtic before they play us. And this is the predicted 11. They're playing them later today, I think. Or it might be tomorrow. Edison in goal. Rico Lewis. Jadel Katongo. Young player, was on loan at Peterborough last season. Jemai Simpson Pusey, sorry. So they've got a young centre-back pairing. This is for the Celtic game, so it might get stronger when they play us. Josh Wilson, Esbrand at left-back. Calvin Phillips, Maximo Perron, and James McAtee in midfield. So again, pretty young midfield, barring Phillips. Then Oscar Bob, Erling Haaland, and Jack Grealish. So Haaland and Grealish are going to have fun because they're going to target Gabia and Calabria. However, the rest of the team, I think they're using it as a bit of a chance to experiment. Obviously, they've Argentine players who were away at the Copa America. They've other internationals. Obviously, England got to the finals. A couple missing there. But, could be an interesting game.
Celtic is pretty deep in their preseason. They actually just played DC United. They were in town last week. They smoked them 4-0. Before that, they played Queen's Park, not the Rangers, just the park. Then they won 6-4. So, it's they're in good form. Look, they're not beating Man City. Neither are we, and it doesn't really matter. So just keep that in mind. I apologize to everyone in New York who bought a ticket to this game and is not going to see even half of the starting 11 lineup. So, but you get to go, you get to have fun. Look out for Martino in the stands. He'll be there, I'm sure. I didn't ask him. I'm just assuming.
He must be there.
Right?
Yeah,
surely he will be there.
Yeah.
He's gotta be
not them plastic fan.
Call him out.
Yeah. So one thing that we should look for in this game, kind of mentioned it with the Rapid game, is that we do have the entire defense available aside from Teo. So I would like to see us look a little more structured in that particular phase. Like if we're gonna have to play, because we are gonna have to play kids up front again, basically. RLC aside, I guess. And Chukwueze, admittedly, yeah, we need to see a little bit of something from him. Then, yeah, with the defensive department, you want to start to see some kind of proof of concept, I guess. We need to look a bit more solid. If we can at least frustrate Man City, then that would be good. It's a preseason friendly. I'm not asked about the result, to be totally honest with you. I want to see us playing. I want to see a clear style. I want to see some of the, I want to see some of the ideas that have been reported and some of the ideas that Fonseca is known for starting to bear fruit. Admittedly, that's difficult when he's working with some of the lower quality players, to put it as kindly as possible. However, this is not. It's not a throwaway game. Like if the Rapid Wien game was a bit of a training session in a different country, this is quite an important commercial exercise. And I always feel like there's a bit more riding on these games because we're going to have fans there that have paid good money to be there. In fact, it might even be a full Yankee Stadium and Soldier Field and M&T Bank, for all we know. And we kind of have a duty to play well and to put on a bit of a show, you know, because that's what Cardinale will be asking for, right?
Right.
We've got to give a good account of ourselves in a place, in a market where we
would think he'd be there too. I know he was in Milan yesterday, but I mean, New York's his home, so.
Yeah, he's meant to be at one, isn't he? I think he's meant to be at the New York one and then not the other two. But
I heard he might.
He's in Europe
or one, but
all right. He's in Europe for some business meetings apparently, and he spent yesterday and will spend today in Milano. We partnered up with Sinsoro, I guess it would be pronounced.
Yeah,
tequila. Yeah. Have you ever had it?
No, it's a celebrity tequila. I think it's like Travis Scott's tequila.
It's like the luxury vodka type shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But that was kind of cool because there was RLC, Cardinale, and Zlatan there with Serena Williams and Travis Scott. So the launch event happened last night. Apparently, and we might as well mention this now, Cardinale had what Sky called a marathon meeting with Ferlani, Moncada, and Zlatan about the Mercato. It lasted from 1 p.m. to 7 p.m. I guess we'll have outlined strategy, budget. He will be aware of the targets that we're probing for, and we're going to talk about them in a little bit more detail. And hopefully we start to see some developments off the back of that, because I get the feeling that impatience is starting to build again. It's like, okay, we got Morata, but we're not going to see him for another 2 weeks. In fact, more than that, nearly 2 weeks. And we kind of need other pieces here, and we're at the end of July, and kickoff is less than a month away, so get a move on kind of thing. So hopefully Cardinale landed, said, yep, off you go. And we start to see some players potentially join us in the USA. If not, then that they're ready for when we get back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do know that... What?
I was just going to say, we're not doing a prediction for the Man City game, are we?
Oh. So. I just heard a noise real quick. I was like, what did he say? No, I don't know what all the players who are joining on the 26th are doing with their summer, but I do know Christian put together like a mini training camp last weekend and presumably this week with like former pros, some MLS players, like nothing serious, but he has been, at least staying in shape. So hopefully if he does show up the next day for that game, then maybe he gets a couple minutes, maybe it looks decent. Who knows? But that was it. That was my only little tidbit for...
No. It's good. It's good insider info. And yeah, let's not do a prediction. I think the starting lineup is going to probably be the same as the Rapid Wien game. I do think we might see Benacer come in for Pobega though. Just because we need a bit more control, especially if City are playing their few stars in that first half. And yeah, we'll see what happens. It's at 11 p.m. UK time on Saturday night, so it's not ideal. That will be midnight CEST, and for you guys, I am guessing that will be 6 p.m. Eastern. That's nice.
Yeah,
that's a nice little Saturday evening entertainment. A few brewskis, and we'll see what happens. We'll obviously recap that next week. Let's move on. Mercato, Gazzetta dello Sport. And look, I don't think their information is always the most reliable, but as far as production value goes, they're pretty damn good. They called it the week of 3 attacks, which I liked. We'll start with the one that we seem to be the closest to, and that is Strahinja Pavlovic. We spoke about him as a mould last week, and we said we're all in favour of it. But just to give a little bit of an update, it seems that a meeting point will be found around 20 million, either including or plus bonuses. The player's told Salzburg he wants to come, and that's what Romano said. That's what Sky and other sources have been saying. And so it seems like that really is just a matter of time. There was rumours of competition from Atletico Madrid, but I honestly think these are just disruption rumours from the Spanish press based on what happened with the Morata thing, which I still don't fully understand, but alas. Get that done. Get him in, because he could join immediately, given that he was with Serbia. Jovic has joined us today, so Pavlovic can join us whenever, I guess. And I think 20 mil, either plus or including bonuses, would be a great deal. 5-year deal at 1.5 mil net per season, so he would be nowhere close to a top earner for us. That would
someone, and I don't remember who, if it was Gazzetta or someone else, but they said it was Daniele Longo. He said, and I got secondhand information. He doesn't allow me to view his tweets actually, but
I'll have a look if you want.
Yeah. He said that we have agreed to the fixed amount of 14 million, and we're discussing the bonuses, how many. So essentially if it's going to be 4 or 6 million in bonuses, because I think they want 20 and we're willing to go up to 18. So I would imagine it gets settled at 5 and they call it a day, right?
Yeah, you've got to hope so. I'm just reading that news that you're talking about, agreeing the 14 mil fix, was about Fofana.
Oh shit, wrong guy. Okay.
Still, I mean, look,
same prices.
Yeah. We'll talk about Fofana now anyway. Pavlovic, get it done. That would be a great signing. We could have a real centre back for the future there. Ideal partner for Tomori. We spoke about that last week. We're all in favour of it. And Yusuf Fofana. Now it's heated up again after sort of a couple of weeks where it went stale. Sky said Man United and Atletico Madrid are interested, but have only sort of inquired rather than made concrete moves, and that has forced us to accelerate a little bit. Don't know why we didn't before, but here we are. I wonder with these deals if we think we've got time, because the player wouldn't be coming until early August. So it's like, just as long as we get it done before then. But you always run the risk of competition arriving. And let's face it, Man United, as they kind of did with Xerxes, would be able to blow our offer out of the water economically. So I do think there is a bit of urgency there to push forward and get it done.
You saw it with Thuram last season and Xerxes this season. It's real easy to hijack a deal, because if you have the money, you just let some other team negotiate for you. You see, okay, this is what they're offering. This is where the reports of the deal get done. Okay, yeah, we could offer that. Boom, got him. Thanks for doing the work for us. It's like stealing your lunch money sort of deal. So it does worry me the longer it drags on, because it just shows other clubs that, well, maybe they're not quite able to do this and we can. It seems like there's like a gentleman's agreement in transfers, where when one team's negotiating, there's like an exclusivity period where another team just won't jump in for whatever reason. But all of a sudden, after it takes like 2.5, 3 weeks, almost 4 weeks, others are like, hey, I want in on this now. And then they
my go now. Yeah. Honestly, I really like that expression of letting another team do the negotiations for you, because everything leaks out so freely nowadays, and we don't know if it's entirely accurate. Because my own personal theory on what's happening with the Fofana thing is that Monaco are asking for more than what is being said. Because I honestly, if we've offered 14 and they're asking for 18. Like, that is such an easy gap to bridge, in my opinion. Like, we saw it happen last summer with all the operations in and around that amount. Reinders, Chukwueze, we eventually got over the line. Musa, RLC, Pulisic, all the operations that were in and around that ballpark figure, we managed to close. And I don't think we'd miss out on a player that we've wanted for quite a while, by the sounds of it, over the sake of 2 or 3 million, which is what leads me to think that Monaco, even though they don't have a ton of leverage because his deal runs out in 11 months, are actually asking for more like 25. And it's a bit of a bigger gap to bridge, because they know Man United have asked. They know Atletico have asked. And another risk that you run by dragging these things out is that Monaco get pissed off. They're like, what are you doing? Lowballing us for a France international. We're backed into a corner. There's other teams ringing us. Fuck off. Like, You know, there is a risk that eventually they'll just get pissed off and say, no, we're going to sell him elsewhere. So that is
I'm
something.
wondering how much of Jerry's marathon meeting was saying, like, look, get these done. Like, this is what you're authorized to do. Do it, you know, and probably just gave price points. And if that's the case, if he did just say, this is the max we're going to pay for one of these players, offer it, get this done. And if they say no, on to the next target. So maybe we start seeing new targets pop up all of a sudden after this meeting.
To me as well, it's like we know how fluid the transfer window is. We've spoken several times before about how having a fixed budget is not a thing because of how much changes and how much it's not about the transfer. It's not like you have 100 mil, you spend 30 mil on someone, you've got 70 mil left. It's not how it works. There's wages to factor in, amortization, things like that. But if you want to simplify it a little bit, if we need to offer that extra 4 or 5 mil for Fofana, you do that, and then you back yourself to sell a player for that amount, don't you? Like, let's be honest. Like, you back yourself to recoup that extra cash that you've paid. It might mean you have to sacrifice Daniel Maldini, and we'd all be crying in the street if that happened. You know, no, we wouldn't.
If Simic is going for $3 million right now, then all right, there you go, right there.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why I always think you should try and be proactive with this business rather than worrying about the fine margins of the budget. Like, again, keep repeating the same line. It's great winning the accounts Scudetto, but it needs to translate to having a more competitive starting 11. And we're looking at signing players that would be in that starting 11. You know, we got Morata over the line, but Pavlovic would start for us. Fofana is going to start for us. Samardzic might even take the starting spot from RLC because, you know, he's a good player. And there's other names that we've keep being linked with right backs and things like that. So it just... Yeah, I don't know. I want to see some. I don't want to see us do bad business just for the sake of doing it quickly. Definitely not. However, if what's coming out is true and there are fine margins involved here, get it done because it builds enthusiasm too. And, you know, we'll start tuning into these friendlies because we might see a couple of the new guys and you just feel a bit more ready for the new season rather than where we're in at the moment. We've got none of the internationals and we've got none of the new signings because there is only one and he's not going to be here until August 5th.
Yeah.
Samardzic, quickly. That has kind of come out of nowhere a little bit in the last few days. We've been linked with him for years, as in like when he was at Hertha Berlin as a kid in the second team, and they chose RB Leipzig. I actually don't blame him for that. He kind of justified it pretty well at the time and said, look at what they're like playing teenagers and stuff. Fair enough. And then we've been linked with him every summer since he's been at Udinese. And seems like this summer might be the window of opportunity to get it done. He's got a deal running until 2026, but it seems like they're willing to cash in for in and around 2025. His agent is also his dad. His dad is also his agent, and he's a bit of a dick. He's caused 2 previous moves to collapse. However, it seems like he's softened a bit on the commissions front, knowing that like he's got to kind of get a move for his son this summer. I'd welcome him.
Oh, of course I'd welcome him. Do I think it's going to happen? Honestly, no. Just the way everything played out last season. Was it Napoli the first one and then Inter hijacked it?
Inter, then Napoli.
Inter, then Napoli. Okay, so he did the medical at Inter, right? And then his dad said, nah. So, I mean, what the fuck? Like, you can't even trust you're signing a player while they're at the medical? So, yeah, I'll believe it once signed, sealed, delivered, announced. That's the only way I'm going to be excited about this one. I don't trust him. So, yeah. But he's a great player, and I hope we do sign him. It'd be fantastic.
Yeah, he always seems to play really well against us. And technique-wise, he's brilliant. Like, I think that... And I know RLC gets mixed reviews from our fans. Look, he scored goals, but I think we all agree he's lacking in his decision-making and sometimes in his basic technique and stuff like that. I think if Samardzic arrived, he really would bray on the door for that starting spot because he can play as an 8, he can play as a box-to-box player, but also he's pretty good playing close at a goal. So I think it's important to have competition in that particular role. And also it'd be signing a player that kind of fits the system. Like we're just rotating and sculpting the midfield in a way that, like, you know, it will work a little bit more for the, I guess, the tactical variants that Fonseca will want. And that doesn't mean that RLC will be without a place in the squad anymore because, you know, he's going to have the full preseason and we'll have the trust and stuff like that. I like to see it done, especially if it went under 20 million. I share your concerns I do wonder if this is all like a bit, are we going to get all the way and then something falls apart, as has happened the last 2 times? But I also think surely Samazic can tell his dad, stop dicking around here. Like, I need to get the move this summer because another season with Udinese, who just avoided relegation, is not good for me. And maybe he is a bit more reasonable in his demands. But we'll wait and see.
How old is he now?
22. So plenty of upside there.
Yeah.
As I said, can play multiple positions. I think he got 6 goals last season, and people said that it was a bit of a down year for him in terms of the way that he played, but he actually did better in terms of output. We'll see. I don't think that's particularly advanced at the moment, but I guess good to see that we're operating on multiple tables at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing that Di Marzio said last night is that Newcastle have come back in for Malik Chow. And I would keep him, but up to a price. That's all I'll say.
Yeah. 40 mil and he goes. I think that's maybe even 30, to be honest with you. Especially if we get Pavlovic in. Pavlovic is going to be the starter. I firmly believe that. It'll be him and Tomori. The problem is you just got rid of Simic. You just got rid of Kier. If you get rid of Chow also, now you have Tomori, Pavlovic, maybe, and Gabia.
Mm-hmm.
Is that enough? Probably not. So,
well, not if we turn into a butcher's shop like happened last year, with the treatment room full to bursting from November onwards. But you gotta hope we have a bit more. It's not luck either. Like, we got a new staff and they're doing double sessions and to try and get ready for what will be a long and testing season. So you got to hope that the injury record improves, so we don't need to recall Gabia from loan again. But I just think you should probably have 4 centre backs and then someone that you really don't want to use but is there if you need him. And that we're building a group that's heading that way. And I don't know. I also think that, like, and we got a question on this, so I won't go too deep into it. But I also think our defensive record was so bad last season. We let in 49 in the league, 69 across all competitions. Do you really want to remove the players that have shown that they can do it? You know, like, we saw good things from Chow. We've seen the levels that Tomori can play at when he's dialed in. It isn't those players that I'm wanting to get rid of. If anything, you sort of trust in Fonseca to get the best out of them again, and then you're adding complementary pieces, and obviously you're bolstering the midfield. So I'm not in favour of a massive upheaval there, especially like Gabia came back and did well. You don't want him to be 5th choice and stuff. So we'll wait and see. Let's do some questions. Number 1 from Naeem. Predictions for how many goals Morata will score this season?
All comps or league?
Let's do both.
I think all comps, he might hit the 20. I think league, between 10 and 15, probably around 12, maybe a little more. Yeah, we'll say 15. It's hard because we've never seen a Champions League with 8 group stage games before, so we don't know how that's going to play out, especially when the competition can be of actual high quality and instead of just, a mixed bag. Obviously, last season we had the high quality group, but it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. And sometimes playing those bigger games is more beneficial than the smaller teams, as far as goals for the striker goes. So I don't know. I mean, I think he'll do well. I think Leao creates enough chances that Morata could find himself on the end of quite a few more goals than normal, and vice versa. I think both our wingers will benefit a lot from having Morata on the pitch, and of course he could score goals on his own as well. So I think it actually is a really good fit for us. It might just be a couple years too late. I think it would have been nicer if we got him around like 26, 27 instead of 31, but it is what it is.
Yeah, also, I was looking at something. Someone did a graphic. His market value when he was 26, 27, which I guess it's not far off the 2017 summer window, when we were willing to pay What were we willing to pay? Something like 70 million for him.
Something ridiculous.
Yeah. So like his market value is obviously slowly declined from there. But yeah, I know what you're saying. It'd be nice to get him in his prime, but also as a player that doesn't depend on his explosive athleticism like say Lukaku does. I don't think we're going to see a massive drop off in the way that he plays, at least during his contract with us. I might be proven wrong on that, but you know, I think he'll be fine the way that he plays. I'm going to say he gets 15 in the league. And I think he'll get 19 in all comps. I think he might just fall short of 20 in all comps. And the reason for that is that I think we're going to sign another striker as well who will help share the load a little bit. We don't want a 31-year-old, even though he probably can do it if you look down his appearances over the last few seasons. We don't want him to be starting 45-plus games. You know, so hopefully we have someone who can share the burden a little bit and also the goal scoring burden in that sense. So I don't foresee astronomical numbers. Like with Giroud, he had good numbers, but because he was the only guy, it was almost like law of averages at a certain point. Like you can play that many minutes, you're going to score goals, you're going to tuck away some penalties, whatever. With Morata, you kind of hope that we're able to effectively rotate a little bit more, make sure we're getting the best start.
Do we think Morata will be our penalty taker?
Does he take him for Spain?
I don't know. Genuinely, I have no idea.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I'd say so. Although, I've always been a fan of Teo's penalties, to be honest.
Yeah, I remember we made that announcement that it was going to be Pulisic, and then he never took one.
Yeah, yeah. That was definitely a smoke screen. Okay, so Morata's only ever taken 14 penalties in his career. So no, he's not a penalty taker. The last one that he took was March 2022. He has... Oh, no, sorry. He took one in March of this year in the Cup in La Liga. No, in Real... fucking hell. Against Real Betis in the league, and he missed it. So he missed his last penalty. And the one that he scored before that was March 2022. And yeah, he also had 3 years from 2016 to 2019 where he didn't take a penalty. So no, he's not a penalty taker. I don't think he will be.
Yeah, that answers that question.
Yeah. Let's move on. Slightly on the same theme, Hassan asks, it seems Fonseca is eager to assess Colombo a little bit longer. Again, that was our exclusive. Apparently, Fonseca kind of likes what he's seen from Colombo in pre-season and just wants to take a look at him before we sell him potentially permanently to another club. Hassan's question continues. In case we ship him out, would you sell Jovic as well and aim for a trident of Morata, Fulkrug and Abraham in attack? A little competition for spots will do no harm. That seems a bit excessive, having all three of them, I'll be honest.
Yeah, I don't think it'd work out because giving competition to three guys who all could be the starting striker sounds great in theory, but I worry that means none of them will ever have any consistency. None of them will get that run of games, that form. They'll never really find their stride if we're rotating the three. I mean, I guess eventually you got to pick one, right? But then you pick one and then the other becomes the cup and European guy. And then what happens to the third? We sell him again the following season. So I don't know. I don't like the idea of keeping Colombo simply because he's just not the level of the others. Morata, Fulkrug if he arrives, and Jovic. I think it'd be silly to get rid of both. If we're getting rid of Jovic, then keep Colombo, and I don't think that's the right move. I think you get rid of Colombo, keep Jovic.
I'm going to be honest. I would sell both. I'd sell both Colombo and Jovic. Like if we're going to be honest about it, I don't think Colombo is ever going to be at the level. Like he should be showing. Not when he's 22 now, so he should be nearing like he should at least be going on loan to teams in the lower end of Serie A and keeping his starting spot, scoring fairly regularly. He went to Monza, which I thought was a perfect place for him to develop. It started well and then it tailed off, unfortunately. And Daniel Maldini ended up doing well in the second half of the season there. With Jovic, I just don't think he's ever going to be a fit for a one-striker system. I do understand the calls to sort of keep him around and you can throw him on late in games when we go 2 up front because he had a knack for scoring important goals off the bench. I get that, and I do appreciate the contributions that he's made in that sense, but we renewed him for a year, which in my opinion shows that we don't have tons of faith in him. Otherwise, you agree a multi-year renewal. He's only 26.
Mm-hmm.
And we can sell him and whatever we get is like a pure gain. Now, then do you have to go out and get a third striker, or do you say Okafor is fine there if we ever need him?
Oh, that's true, because I do like Okafor as a striker.
Me too.
But I think he's going to be the backup left wing for the season. It just seems to be the trend everyone wants, but I think he's a good striker. So, yeah, actually, you might have convinced me. Sell them both.
I think, I don't know how much you get for both. You know, you're probably talking like 15, 20 mil combined. It's not a ton. But I don't think you then go and spend that money and bring in Abraham, who is probably looking for a club that will relaunch his career rather than
exactly
third choice anyway. What I think you do, I think if the budget's there, and it should be, I think you bring in Fulkrug now and you kind of fix the problems later. Like you make sure that you've got 2 good players who could both start if one of them gets hot. Like, because Fulkrug was Bundesliga top scorer the season before last, got a big move to Dortmund, and now they've signed Guirassy, so he wants out. Like he could be the starter for all we know. Like he could start really well. And then you figure out what to do with the third slot based on the offers that come in. You don't want to leave yourself short going into the season because we've done that too often with the striker position. But yeah, I don't think we're going to go out and invest in a third striker. I think we'll be lucky if we do it on a second. Casey says, or asks, do you think Kalulu and Terracciano are good enough for the right back spot?
No. I think Kalulu decent. Will we even play Terracciano there? We played him on the left last game, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. Terracciano is such an enigma because he was signed, not used, played a game, did bad, never seen again, came back last game of the season, played everywhere. It was really weird. So I still don't know.
Sorry for him.
Yeah, I still don't know like where his spot in this team is. It was just an odd signing to me. And I don't know what's going to happen with Calabria. That's the big question mark. He's technically the captain. He should be starting. If he doesn't, great, fine. But does he become a third string? I doubt it.
No, it's a strange summer this for Calabria because it's sort of gone under the radar that his deal runs out at the end of next season. And there's a few different sources who've said that the renewal negotiations are not going particularly well because we're only willing to offer him what he earns now, and he thinks he's deserving of a pay rise because, I guess loyalty and whatnot. But we're not willing to offer it because his performance levels have kind of stagnated. And I think he's entering his prime years. Like what we're seeing with Calabria is what we're getting, and that is a limited right back who can do a job in most games, but probably not the high level games. Or weirdly, he has done a good job in high level games. Like, he relishes the battles against Kvara, and him and Tomori shut down Mbappe at San Siro. Like those seem to be fine. It's just he has these really bad games, and we're sort of like, oh yeah, that's the level that he's at. I think Calabria would stay and be backup, or like he'd fight for that starting spot with Kalulu. And I think if we have Kalulu, Calabria as the right backs going into this season, that's fine. If we sell Florenzi, then Terracciano can stay, in my opinion, and be like emergency right back cover, but also backup left back cover because we know he can play both sides. If Florenzi stays, loan Terracciano out. There's no point in being here, especially if Jimenez is going to be the backup left back. I also think people forget that Jimenez is a natural right back. I know we've only seen him at left back so far, but he's right-footed, and he's pretty much always played on the right. So, like, we invested in him? We've paid $5 million to keep him. Do we see him as the one who kind of bursts through in the near future? And we've got another Teo on the other side, like. That's something to consider as well. It's like we were talking about with the strikers. Like, are we signing 2 more experienced profiles because we see Kamada as being like pretty close? Maybe with Jimenez, it's like, okay, let's not sign Emerson Royale or anybody because this guy's pretty good. So
yeah,
I don't know. It's a bit of an enigma, that position in general, as you put it. Rohit asks, should a bid of 15 or 20 mil come in for Adley, would you sell him?
Yeah, I think I would. Yeah, it just doesn't seem like any coach wants to utilize him as a starter. And I think he's another guy who's got potential that he's a bit younger, but he's getting close to those prime years where he needs to be an out-and-out starter. He can't just be an every now and then bench player, because even right now, he's not coming in 60 minutes of every game. He's coming in every fourth or fifth game. Now, will it be different under Fonseca? Maybe a little, but it doesn't seem like he's going to have full faith either. So I don't know. It's another interesting one. I wouldn't call him dead weight, but I would call him like transfer fodder if we really want to go for a big name player and we need that extra push of 15, 20 mil. I think you can get it for Adley. And I think Adley loves the club so much that if we were to say an offer came in for and we're going to accept it, we need this extra cash, he would do it for that.
Yeah.
So I don't think him departing will be an issue. Would it be sad? Yeah, of course. I think Adley's a great guy. I think we all like him on the team, but I don't know if he'll ever be a starter.
He certainly had his moments, didn't he, last season where he could have seized a starting spot. He had some memorable performances, Roma at home when he got his first goal at San Siro. But like when that opportunity was there, he couldn't really string together several good performances in a row, and so back out of the team again. When I think about the construction of the midfield, though, and get ready for a pretty hot take here, I want us to play a 4-3-3. I think we kind of all do. I think that's the formation that we should go to. I don't know if we're going to do that, but anyway, bear with me. I would like to have in the number 6 position Fofana as the starter, and I would be okay with Benacera's cover there. Whether he accepts being back up in that position, I don't know, but I'm okay with him being the backup there. On the right side, RLC and Samardzic, if he arrives, those two would be fine for me. On the left side, I've spoken a lot about functional depth and why Inter seem to be able to rotate better because they plug players in that do the same job. On the left side of the midfield three, got Reinders. And I think the most natural replacement for him in the squad is probably Adley. Like a forward-thinking midfielder who's creative, not the best dribbler, but like it's more about end product with him, rather than doing the dirty work. And so I just wondered if there might be a position for him there. The one that I'm looking at in the current midfield, Pobega can go, obviously. He's not good enough in any real attribute, to be honest. The one that I'm looking at in the current squad, I'm wondering, where do you fit is Musa? I guess you could say if Samardzic doesn't arrive, then he's going to be playing on the right side as a box-to-box. But I just don't know what we do with him, really. Like, we're looking to sign 2 midfielders here, and that's just going to push him a little bit further down. And we know his best position is as an 8, but where does he fit? I don't know.
I would keep Musa over RLC. He's younger. I think he's got higher potential. He doesn't have the injury history. Yeah.
I'm keeping the 10 goals over the nothing, though. Like, Musa showed very little. Yeah, but
I disagree with that. I think he had very few bad games. The bad games he had were disasters, but overall, I thought he was very good.
We don't want the disasters, though. We can't afford that. Like,
sure, I agree. But I mean, if it comes down to keep or sell for, like, we can only keep one of those two, I'm picking Musa. He's just got a much higher upside.
He got shunted to right back as well, and wing back. That didn't help him at all.
No, it didn't.
I did feel sorry for him in that sense. And maybe because apparently Napoli were interested in Musa and we said no because we believe in him. So maybe Fonseca will take a look at him or has had a look at him and thinks, yeah, I can do something with him. And I'd like to see that in action. I just wonder where he's, because we could realistically end up with a situation where he is the 3rd choice right-sided midfielder. He's the 3rd choice defensive midfielder, and he's 21. Like, he needs better than that, And I don't see a loan being realistic. I guess in an ideal world, you sell Pobega and you maybe sell Adley and you keep Musa to be like a backup on either side of the midfield. It's tough. It's tough. I don't know. the answer. We're not paid to come up with the answer, so we can move on. Kieran James, anything on the Tomori to West Ham links? Personally, don't see it happening unless they come in with a crazy bid.
Yeah, no, actually, I agree with him. I don't think it'll happen unless they come in with a crazy bid. I think the English market allows for huge offers, and for an England, not really an England international, but for an English player of his caliber, I think that's what we're looking for. It would probably be a record departure for us. What did Tonali leave for? 65, 70?
Yeah, 70.
I could see Tomori going for 80 if it's to the Premier League, and I don't think it'll be West Ham. I think it would be United, a Chelsea return, something along those lines. Those are the two teams actually I could see him going to, United or Chelsea.
Yeah, United have just spent a load on Lenny Yoro, haven't they? So I think him and Martinez, they're probably sorted at centre back. Chelsea returns interesting. Yeah, they've got. Like I was listening to a Chelsea fan doing a video yesterday, and they were saying it's an absolute crime what's going on because they're trying to sell Trevor Chalobah to raise funds. They let go of Tomori, and they were saying that both of them would be starters over the, and I quote, shit that they've signed, like Dizazi, Badiashile, Malang Sarr. Like he doesn't rate any of them, and so yeah, I don't know. Maybe he wouldn't go back because he feels a bit burned by that. I'm not so sure. I think Tomori would be going back to a club of a higher level than West Ham. Also, West Ham have just spent £40 million on Max Kilman from Wolves, who I would have liked us to take a look at. Actually, he's kind of like in the Pavlovic mold. 40 million quid on the centre back. So I think they're actually fine there. So while there might be concrete interest, I don't see them spending another 50, 60 on another centre back. Like, where's this budget coming from? So yeah, I do feel like Tomori will go back to the Premier League at some point, and it might be in his mind to do so while his stock is quite high, so he gets a good move, rather than like in 2 years he's looking at going back to Crystal Palace when he's 30 or whatever. Yeah. But I don't think this is the right summer, and also we shouldn't be entertaining a sale. Like, as we said with the Chow thing, you don't remove the blocks from a crumbling defence that are offering you a bit of certainty. You try and build around them.
Exactly.
And I think the same discussion applies. And I want to see him stay. He got the captain's armband, actually, for the second half of the Rapid Wien game, despite there being some more senior players there. Benacer was on the field. He's got more appearances. And
I don't know if he does.
Yeah, he definitely does.
Yeah, but he was out most of last season. Yeah, let's have a look.
So Benacer has made in total, according to Transfermarkt, which counts all competitions, stats by club, he's made 170 appearances for us. Fikayo Tomori. Apologies, this is live podcasting, everybody. While I say this, I will say that the reason I brought it up is because Tomori put an Instagram post with him wearing the captain's armband, and so it shows that it's great pride for him. 142 for Tomori, so he's got not loads more, but he's got 30 more. So it should have been him with the way that we do it, and yet it was Tomori who had the armband. So I think he feels that.
Okay, I'm sorry. Say that one more time. How many did Benacer have?
170.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
170 to 142. So. Yeah. So I think Tomori's staying. That's the bottom line of that. We'll wrap it up here. It's been a good one. Things are heating up. Went into July. Well, back end of July now.
We're almost out of it.
Yeah, we're almost out of it. The USA Tour is coming. July has flown by. I don't know if you feel like the same.
And way too fast.
It's almost like I find July to be a fun month because it's like the height of summer, but also you've got August to come, and a lot happens in August. So it's like the calm before the storm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Almost out of July. So we've got Man City, Real Madrid, and Barcelona friendlies coming up. And hopefully next week we've got some business to talk about as well. I've been your host, Oli Fisher. Find me on Twitter at Oli Fisher. AJ, cheers.
Yep. I will be here next week.
Yeah, I think it's the week after that you missed. Okay. Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah. One of these weeks I'm gone. So it's coming soon. You guys will get your wish. but I'll be back, so don't celebrate too much.
Yeah, AJ will be coming in your ears next week, is what he's trying to say. Take care, everyone. Have a good week.
Gol! Ancora Teo! È una meraviglia! Il gol di Teo Hernandez da un'area all'altra! È una meraviglia! Senti il mio cuore!